Well, I want to welcome everyone today to this is the Master Your Social Media Mastermind or Masterclass, sorry. And I'm going to be doing the full program today. And so I hope you can hang around for the whole thing. It is just shy of 2 hours when I rehearsed it a couple of days ago. And so I'm glad to have you here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you'll be able to see it and we'll be going on. Now, if you have any questions during it, please raise your hand or put it in the Q&A and I'll try to get to it, but it'll probably be at the very end that I'll get to it. But you can leave your questions and things there. So usually the chat is the best, but if you want to put it in Q&A, you can do that too. So today we're learning how to master your social media. And this is a program that I've been teaching for just a few months now, but it has really helped a lot of people get their social media on track so they're actually getting more business for their business. Now, the first thing I'm going to start with, I'm going to tell you something that my competitors don't want me to tell you. In fact, I had one of them call me a couple of days ago to tell me, why am I doing this? Why am I saying this? And I then shared with him what I'm going to share with you in just a moment. And he said, oh, and then hung up. So what I'm telling you is outsourcing your social media doesn't work, at least not when you're starting out. It does work, but it's only at a much lower rate. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. So the best way to master your social media is to do it yourself. If you handle it and you become, you understand how your social media needs to work, and we're going to go into all of those details, you will be able to then turn it over to someone else and be able to know exactly what's going to be going on, and you'll get a greater amount of people coming in. So if you're looking for prospects, you need to understand that. So why should you master your social media? I'm going to talk about that right now. And this includes before you even hire me, because while I know a lot of these things, there are still things that you should know. And I'll tell you why. Here's one of the big reasons is when you are hiring a brand new employee, you're creating a new position, you always start with a job description and you have your goals for that position. You even know how it's going to affect your bottom line, and you want to do this. Now, do you ever hire an employee without those things? No, it's absolutely, you would be crazy to do that. You know, I was teaching a class yesterday, this exact same class yesterday, and I asked everybody in the room, and there were 75 people there, and not a one would hire an employee without those three things. So why do people do the same thing with social media? I get called all the time. People say, hey, I need help with my social media. And I start asking them some questions, and they don't know what they need to tell me. And so that's what this is all going to be about. It is so important for you to know, and you'll see why as we get to, especially when we get to step 2, and you'll see why. Okay, and there's 12 steps in this. 4 is the biggest, but 1 and 2 are sometimes the most important. Now, here's one of the things, and this is what I was sharing with that competitor of mine the other day. A recent survey by Social Media World, that's a big organization that does a lot of social media, and then Entrepreneur Magazine, together, they put together a survey, and they were finding out if you just simply outsource versus when an owner has mastered their social media, here is the results that they found. They found that if you hire an agency or a person, and it doesn't matter what person it is, whether you're going to get no more than 12% results when you begin. And it doesn't go up very fast, but usually after 1 year, you'll be likely to get up to about 65% with someone who stays with it and keeps it going. But they say that after 2 years, it's only 66%. The reason why is they're missing some things. It's not their business and it's not their customers, and thus not a lot of, they don't have all the information they need. Now, it takes a business owner approximately 30 minutes a day for 90 days to be able to master their social media. And we'll go into all of that here as we go through this. Now, I told you there were steps that we do. The first step is you've got to know what you want to have accomplished. These are the goals, and they can be all kinds of things. I'm going to bring up a bunch here. So you might want to be, stepping up your customer service. You might be getting more prospects in. You might want both of those. You might want to raise awareness of your company. If you can have any one or you can have a multiple, but you've got to figure it out. You've got to know what you want to accomplish. If you don't know where you're going, how do you know when you got there? That's, just basic business sense. Okay, so this is something you want to understand, and you've got to set that up. Then once you have that, you got to make a commitment that that's what it's going to be all about. And as I go through this, I'll be referring back to this step and to the next step quite often, because these are the guiding factors for doing your social media. Okay. Step 2 is all about understanding your current customers. Now, here's why. If you can understand your current customers and all the things we're going to discuss here in a moment, then you'll also know how to talk to, you'll know where they're at, your prospects. And so let's get on with what do you need to know from your current customers. First off, you want to find out, you've got to, how well do you know your customers is what I'm asking. And then I hope you know them very well, but you've talked to them, you've worked with them when they've had problems, you've become friends with many of them, I hope. And it's an interesting thing. I was talking to a group of people a few weeks ago, and they said, well, I don't know if I really do that because we have a lot of people who come through our location. And I said, well, that's okay. Maybe you don't see them all every day or every week even. But I said, it's funny. There was a bank that I know that every time you walked into their front door, they knew who you were, or at least most of the people, unless they were brand new, and they called you by name. Well, they found that the branch offices that did that got more people walking in, wanting to connect with them because people knew who they were. They knew what they were about. And that's important for your business, even if it is a retail store where you've got people going through. If you've got somebody who can really pay attention, that's a great thing. In fact, one client of mine, he hired a person to do digital stuff. And he said, I want you to understand I want you to call them by name, but you got to recognize them by face and you've got to recognize them by voice. And this guy, he was about 24. He was really good at it. And he was running the drive up of a pharmacy. But he recognized every person when they kept coming back because he had that near photographic memory. And they found that their pharmacy got more business there because people knew that they were being taken care of by someone there, and that was him. Let's talk about what other things you need to do. You need to find out why they chose you over all others to solve their problem or to help them with whatever they were looking for. What set you apart? Is that a unique thing to you? Is it not? When people ask me about my uniqueness, I tell them, I will actually help you. I will train you how to do it yourself, if that's what you want. And I have training programs. So here's one of them that we're on. I also will work with customers to do their social media. So if they want to do it, some of it, and they want me to do some, that works. And then I can do it all for them. Now, most of the agencies will do it all for you or none for you. They won't even train you. That's what this is all about, is finding your unique value or your unique sales proposition. Now, one of the other things that we have done with our customers is we ask them to find out about their customers where they hang out online. Now, it's interesting, some of that, and I'll give you a case study here in a minute about this. But you need to also pay attention to where they pay attention for business stuff online. And it isn't always what you think it is. And so, I'll give you that case study. And you want to know the products and services. How do they want to interact with you? Are they going to want you to train them? Are they going to ask you to do videos? Do they want, what is it? How do they want to be interacting with you? And that's a good thing. What else would entice them also to refer others? So this is a good thing as well. So I see that I've got a question or something coming up. Oh, okay. Hello, Dwight. All right, well, let me continue. What would entice them to refer others? That's a big one that you need to ask your customers, and they'll tell you what would be a good thing. Now, I'll tell you a couple of them. I have had some people where they use let me give you a movie ticket if you refer a friend. I'll give you a discount, or I'll give you this or that. It doesn't always have to be giving them something either. It can be a recognition type thing. And people love that kind of stuff. So now going on to there it goes. Going on to the rest of step 2, we did, and this is that case study I was telling you about. We did a survey with one of our customers back in May. It was an HVAC company, so heating and air conditioning. And we wanted to find out where the customers hang out on social media. Now, we had a lot of the other things that we talked about a minute ago, but where they hang out on social media really, really was telling. So what we found was that 73% of them hung out on Facebook at least once per week, with 65% of them, not 65% of the 73, 65% of all of them were hanging out daily. So that's almost 90% of them were hanging out daily. And that was great. So we thought, okay, we know where we're going to be posting ads and what we need to do to, where we need to be putting their posts. Well, then we ask another question, and this is where it got interesting. We asked them where they find products or services that they are going to be in need of on social media. Now, it was kind of we had a few people go, I don't know, I'm not sure. But once we explained to them what we were doing, we found that Facebook wasn't number one. Instagram was number one for this HVAC company. Pinterest was number 2. And then YouTube videos was number 3. And finally, Facebook came into play at number 4. Now, that's not the same for all businesses, but for this business, it was. What we found as we asked customers why they said that, they said, we go to Facebook to catch up with friends and family, and we ignore the ads generally. Now, that doesn't happen all the time, and you need to understand that part of this is you want to be able to send your traffic to your website or physical locations. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't place Facebook ads or post on it, but if you are somebody that's an ultra personal company, I recommend it. And that's restaurants, it's mortgage companies, it's nail salons, hair salons. There's a lot of different places. Facebook does work for them because it is much more personal. And I had a person yesterday challenge me on that with mortgage company, and I said, they want to do business with somebody they trust and like, and a mortgage company is an ultra personal thing. Now, the next thing is, we found that a lot of other businesses like the HVAC, the auto repair shops, real estate agents, roofers, painters, all the trades, we found that a lot of times they were looking at the other places for them, and they weren't paying attention to their ads on social media as much. Now, the reason why was, again, it was back to they're there to look up and connect with their friends and family. They're not there to really look at the ads that are there. And so that's one of the things that we found. And so, like I said, I'm not saying don't do Facebook, but you need to choose it wisely for the right reasons. Now, here's the next thing is we have, we're going to learn how to choose and begin to set up your social media. Now, of course, you just found out from your customers what social medias they like and which ones they pay attention to your type of business at. And then once you get this going, you want to get your logo right and the right name. Now, I say get your logo right because a lot of social media, they want to have a small round something that will represent you. I had a company and their logo was like this long. And when you put it in there, you could go back and forth, but it was only just a little bit of it. You've got to be sure to have something that represents you. And it is really important so that people will say, oh, that's me. That's you. That's the company I'm looking for. And, so find an image, something that you can do. I was on Kneaders today, and they have a big K, and that's all it is a big K. So in mine, it's the image of our, that is part of our logo. It doesn't have anything to do with the name, or it doesn't say anything about the name. It just simply has the image that we use as part of our logo. So, but you got to find the right logo, and then you've got to find the right name. And what I mean by that is you've got to find a name that no one else has that will then tie into you, and then you promote it heavily. In my case, BP Media was being used by all kinds of other companies. Now, also Big Picture Media, which is our full name of the company, was being used by people as well. So what I ended up doing is making something that's a BP Media social media, and no one had that. So that's the name I'm using on Instagram. On Facebook, I do own BP Media SLC for Salt Lake City. And so find the right name for you, because you want to make it so it's easy for them to remember. Because once you put these kind of names together, you can then say Instagram.com/social or BP Media social media, and it will get you there. And so it's all about branding at that point. So you want to have the right name. Find the right name for your business. Okay. The next thing is creating a compelling profile or bio that will attract those prospects. Now, you've talked to your customers, you've found out what drew them to you, what set you apart from your competitors. From that, you start writing a good bio or profile. This is very important. Now, it's different sizes on different ones. You have more space on Facebook and LinkedIn. You have less space on Instagram and Twitter. So just work it out for each one. But there's some things that you can do on this. I do have a whole training on doing this, and I'm actually going to be doing a training in October that will talk more about creating great bios and profiles. But you can watch the video I already have done, or there's some articles that I have here and there. And so would love to have you find out how to do that. But the key is you want to attract people to you. You're not going to talk about features. You're going to talk about what's in it for them. And you also want to use emojis in them. Use them as your bullet points if you want, or use them to represent what you're talking about. It is important to use emojis in it. It breaks it up and attracts more attention. Now, the next thing you want to do is you got to decide on what you're going to do. Deciding on images, there's standard images, there's standard videos, there's the stories, the reels. There's a whole lot of different options out there. But what you need to do is go back to talking to your customer, find out how they like to have you talk to them. And that's education, that's all kinds of different things. And how do they want you to do it? We're going to get into a lot more of the videos and the images and that as we go along, but you need to, as you're beginning to set this up, you want to do this. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick educational thing. This is a case study that we did with one of my other clients. They were doing 2 to 3 videos every week, and they had about 3,000 followers. At 3,000 followers, they were getting about 450 people who would watch the videos. That's a good number because that's about 15%. In fact, it is 15% at that. And so they were getting some really good following on their videos. But when they put in a static image, they were only getting probably 100, 125 people who were liking it or commenting on it or anything like that. And they were just very discouraged with them. Well, they decided, and we were working with them on it, and we were doing some testing. They decided to go to doing a video 5 times a week. As we did, we suddenly saw that all the videos, even the big ones that they had great success at 15%, were dropping down to 7 and 6% because they were doing a video every day. Their images also dropped down. Now, as we got asking a few clients that were on Instagram, we used Instagram to follow them and test this out. We found that they said, oh, we see the videos. There's a video every day. I don't have time every day to watch it. So I just simply scroll past it right now and I'll go back to it. And then when we asked them, did you go back to it? No, I never did. I just went on. I saw another video the next day. And so we asked them, well, why were you stopping before? And they said, well, it was only every few days. And I like that. And so we moved them back to 3 times a week. In fact, on some platforms, we only did it twice a week. And we made sure that people knew about that. But then we found that they're over a week or 2, I guess it was 2 or 3 weeks actually, their video views went up. Their likes and comments on their images went up. And so it went back. So not always do you want to do all one thing. You want to mix it up. And that was one of the other things we found is if you're always talking about the same thing, it isn't always a good thing. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Okay. But you also need to know the difference in what each of the different video types are going to do for you and match those to those goals in step 1. Make sure that you are understanding what that video is going to do or that image is going to do and match it to the goals, match it to the customer, what they said about it. Okay. So it's important to understand that. And then, of course, you want to also, in getting everything set up, you need to set up your review pages. Now, there are 2 review pages that are extremely important because they're important to get reviews on, but also your SEO will depend on it. And that's an important thing to pay attention to. The 2 pages you want to make sure you have set up is your Google My Business account and your Facebook reviews. Now, with both of them, there's a reason why the Google pays attention to both of them. I mean, Facebook's kind of a competitor in a way, but they pay attention to their reviews. The reason why is those 2 require you to sign in order to leave a review. If you, there are others out there that are great. Some of them aren't so great, but there's, like Golden Spoon, or there's Thumbtack or Yelp, and the list can go on, where they encourage you to leave a review. The problem is that they don't require many times those people to sign in. They ask them sometimes, but they don't require it. Excuse me. So make sure you get those first 2 set up. But if your business is one, like if you are a HVAC company or a heating or a plumber or something else, you want to be on those others that help you with your business. So Thumbtack or Angie's List, They're great for those that are in the construction trades. Restaurants love to be on Golden Spoon or TripAdvisor. And so those are things that you need to pay attention to and set them up too. But the two most important ones are those two, and they're both classified as social media pages. Facebook, of course, but Google My Business is, because when you leave a comment, when they leave a comment, you can also go in and leave a comment, and it allows you to have a two-way conversation, and that makes it social. All right, let's go on to step 4. Now, this is all about creating that content, okay? You go back to what you found from your customers on step 2, and you start figuring out, you've got it figured out in step 3, what you're going to use. So you need to tie those two together, and you decide, excuse me, what education would they like from you? Now, most do like to have some sort of education. Even your customers who only buy from you every few years are going to say, yes, I'd like to have education about maintaining it or other uses for whatever I'm going to be doing. This is all important. So as we go through this, you'll find that education can be very important. Now, it sounds like they're going to be mowing the lawn outside, so I've got to shut a window. I am so sorry. And then my curtain fell down. That's always fun. All right. So once you've gone through and figured out what education you're going to be doing, then also figure out how to become the authority in the field. And that usually comes from having the right content. Now, that's right content in 2 different areas. One is on your social media, but also it's on your website. Now, one of the things that I mentioned earlier is you need to decide where you're going to send your content or your prospects to. And so going to a website is where 80% of all content is generally sent to. But some people like to have it go to a phone number or to a physical address. So you need to decide that up front, what you want to do. And then with the authority side of this, you need to have content that's being built on on each of those 2 sites. So you do something on Facebook, and it's called a short content or mini content. And then on your website, you use the longer content. And the difference is usually short content is less than 600 words. And those that are longer than 600 words are your main content, and that goes on your website. Now, I'm going to give you a quick tip here, is when you're doing mini content on Facebook, if you add a photo, they'll let you go up in how many words that you go. Otherwise, they lock you down at about 250 if you're not using a image or video to go with it. But as soon as you add a video, then you get 600, and sometimes they'll even let you go higher than that, depending on how popular your account is. That's all about building your authority, though. Now, once you have some reviews and testimonials from your customers, these can be used as your content as well. In fact, I highly recommend them, that you would use those reviews and testimonials because it's somebody else talking about you, not you talking about you. And it's important for those to get out there. And you can post them once every quarter if you want. You can post them and do them as videos. You can do them as a static image. I'd always do one or the other, static image or an image. And some people, they'll use a photo in it with the customer's photo, if the customer's okay with that. Other people will do an actual video. In fact, I know of one company that what they do is they ask them to do a video, and they give them a prize for doing a video that they can use on their website. And it's something that I'm actually considering doing. So we'll have to see how that goes. Now, one of the other things is with those, you got to start creating that content, and that will be your videos, your images, and your reviews. And then once you get, and I use reviews separately because that can be a kind of a different type of content anyway, but make sure you put that in. Now, then one other thing you need to be paying attention to is, should you be promoting yourself on YouTube? In the case of this heating and air conditioning company, it was important for them to be doing it because that was their number 3 out of the 4 top ones. And so they started doing some videos. You don't have to do them every week or every day, but they're putting up videos, and they're using some of the videos that they use from testimonials. They're using them from all kinds of other places as well. And sometimes they're having professional videos done for them. So those are things to do. Now, also with step 4, there's some things that I want to tell you about. One of them is that you should use, as I put it, my recipe for social media success in marketing. And this is an image here of that sheet. If you stay to the end, you can download this sheet, as well as a couple of other things, and a complete list of all of the steps that I'm giving you and their sub-steps. So you'll get all of that. If you hang on to the end, I'll give you that link. But in here, there are 6 different areas that you use for your social media. Now, a lot of people I have had, and I will mention it again a little later, but they think that they need to only do one type. So, and a lot of people I've worked with, when I first talk to them, that's what they're doing. And so sometimes it's all about sales. And so all they're doing is, oh, this is our sell today. This is our sell today. Nobody likes to be sold all the time. They want to have something else. Another one that's very popular is doing education only. And this, just educate, educate, educate. This can backfire on you. There was a meth remediation company I was working with, and they were doing all this education, but they weren't getting anybody coming to them to use them to take care of it. Well, they came to me and said, Boyd, what are we doing wrong? And I said, you're not actually putting a call to action in there anywhere. You're not telling them that you're actually the company who does that. And once they started putting a call to action into their mix for social media, they started getting business. People started using them. This is an important thing to do. You need to be able to have a call to action, and you may even want to use some call to actions that aren't really as what everybody thinks is a call to action. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But here are the 6 steps, and each of the letters of recipe stand for one of these groups. So first is recreational. So this is all about having some fun with your customers. It can even also be what you're doing to have fun. It's holidays, it's throwback Thursdays, whatever you might want to do, tell some jokes, have a funny video. All of that is recreational. The next one is educational. You do need to do educational, just don't do it only. And you can change it up all the time. I have a lot of people who do tips and tricks, and then they also do facts, they do trivia, they do case studies, they do some contests and giveaways that are all part of educational, as well as it's also part of conversational. So it's kind of fun. So those are some things to do with educational. The third one is conversational. With conversational, this is all about getting a conversation going. Now, you can do surveys and polls. There's this or that, which do you like better, this or that? And I'll tell you, one of them that I have done is when I do my books and I'm trying to come up with a cover for my book, I'll have 4, 5, 6 different covers made that I get it down to, and then I put them on social media, but I only put 2 on at a time. Do you like this or that? And when they're looking at it, they're going, oh, Okay, I like this. Then once they've said that, I go back to them and say, why did you choose this cover over that cover? And sometimes what they're saying is, ooh, I like the attitude that this one had, but I love the coloring of that one. And so then you can actually make an additional cover if I need to. So you want to find out what they're thinking, but you want to make it conversational. You want to ask them questions. Back in March or April, I did a post that was, tell me, do you like Fridays or chocolate better? And I had people that were chocolate, oh, Fridays. And what I would do is I'd start saying, so why did you choose Friday over chocolate? Why did you choose chocolate over Fridays? And, when on one of them, I like Fridays better because they only come once a week. And I says, well, why don't you like chocolate? And he says, oh, I can have that anytime. So that's some of the things that you want to, you get a conversation going. In fact, with that, one of the ladies, she was just so over the top about her chocolate. I said, so do you like milk chocolate or medium chocolate or really dark chocolate? And she came back and she was one of these that, oh, I like all that. It's really good. But another person was following the conversation and she came back and she says, you left off white chocolate. That's my favorite. Why did you leave off? And she went on and on and on. And I apologized, but I left that off on purpose because I wanted to see if somebody was out there who was a white chocolate person. Now, on all of the 4 social media sites that I put that up, she was only on one, and I only had her on Instagram that she was saying that about. So that's fun though. You get the conversation going. Now, here's one of the cool things. I got conversation going about chocolates and Fridays, and it has nothing really to do about social media, right? Wrong. I started getting all of these people doing more conversational things on all of my posts after that. They weren't afraid to give their opinions. They weren't afraid to say, this was a great post. I thank you for posting it. Where before I was only getting a few people. Now I'm getting more. Okay, the next one is inspirational. Now these can be quotes of all kinds, but let me tell you, quotes are really important, but they need to be from you or people in your industry. It's also good to have the other quotes, from Elon Musk or Benjamin Franklin or Aristotle, whoever you want to use. I see them from people who took them from songs. I see them from books. I saw a Shakespeare quote the other day. These are all good. But if you have some that are very specific to your industry, and especially if you have some that are specific from you, they will make a difference. They also help with the authority factor when they're your quotes. In fact, it's really cool because now every once in a while, I get people who send me a text message and say, hey, Boyd, I was at this conference and Tony Robbins mentioned your name. He said you quoted, and he gave the quote that I had given. And I'm going, oh, that's cool. Tony Robbins. Okay, I've never met him. I've seen him from afar, but that's about it. But he quotes me. Other people have quoted me because I came up with a quote that made sense for them to use, and they love using it. It also builds me up. So it's one of the key things that you want to do is find quotes. Now, there's also other things with inspirational. It could be an inspiring story about how you helped a customer and it helped them do something else. Client success stories are really good. You could also have before and afters. I have a lot of clients that I've used the before and after, especially when it's, dealing with cars or something physical, really. So cars, homes. I had one guy who was doing, of course, bodybuilding, and another person who was help you lose weight. All of those before and after, if your customer's up to it, is really good. Now, there's some you're not going to get them to do, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. If you're in an industry where there's a stigma that's associated with you took care of their problem, just simply mention it. And you don't have to mention names. You just simply say, hey, this person lost 300 pounds. They're now down to 195 pounds. Can you imagine that? The imagination goes wild just thinking about that, because they're now at 2/5 of what they used to be. All right, let's go on to the next one. The next one is promotional. Here is where you do some call to actions, and I'm going to talk about this in a little bit as well. Call to actions don't always have to be a discount. Promotions don't have to be a discount. You don't have to always be discounting your product. In fact, I recommend against it. But you want to do other things. So you can put discounts in there. You can put offers, and we'll talk about offers in a few minutes as well. You can do some trainings. I do trainings all the time. In fact, every Tuesday I have the free Tuesday trainings, and you can come to them and you can watch them. And they go on my YouTube channel for a couple of weeks, and then they go into my academy that I have that people can then join. But it's fun to do those things, and it's all promotional because it's promoting your business and the products you have. Maybe you have a new product that you're launching. Tell people about it. Do a webinar, do a seminar. Just simply tell about it. It doesn't matter. So I know one gentleman that's on here today, he is just launching some hemp products. Now, these aren't things that are, illegal. This is building products made from hemp. You know that ropes and a lot of building products back in the 1800s were made from hemp. And in fact, ropes, some of the strongest ropes before they had steel were made from hemp, the hemp plant. Well, so he, in one of our networking meetings, talked about that. This is all something you need to be able to talk on social media, because it's going to create conversations, and it also helps let people know that you're more than just what they thought you were. And so that's a good thing. Now, if you have blog posts on your website, promote them as well. This is all about promoting you, and you want to drive traffic to your website. So what better way than to get somebody interested about your blog that you just wrote, this 1,200 word blog that is explaining something. Send them to it. Let them go there. And of course, when you get there, you want to have it so that there's other things that they can interact with as well. So a lot of these things in promotional will drive people to a website, and that's what you need. Or they can even be driven to your storefront or making a phone call. Those are all important things to do. The last one here is entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial is telling more people about you. I mean, everyone loves to know, like, and trust the people that are going to be doing business with. If you're not, it all comes down to the offer or the problem you solve. Now, it's good to have a unique problem or a unique solution for their problem. But if all things are equal, they'll go to the person they know, like, and trust above those that simply are telling them what they do. So a lot of people I've heard recently, and especially ad agencies, really, they say, oh, that you should never, ever put anything personal on your business page. Let me tell you, that's wrong. I'll tell you it and then tell you it over and over again. I've got several stories that go along with this. I'm only going to tell you one. I had a mortgage company who was trying to get going with their mortgage company. They were struggling with their social media. I was helping them, and I kept asking the guy, so tell me about you. Tell me about your family. Oh, I don't want anything on there about my family. I don't want anything. Well, finally, he says, I'm going to Moab to go jeeping. Now, if you don't know what jeeping is you've got a Jeep or something like a Jeep, and you go up in the Slick Rock Hills and you drive in these places that no one else in their right mind would drive because you're a daredevil, right? Well, this guy, I said, take a picture. I want to use it on your social media. He gets back and he's got a picture of him and his Jeep. They're almost a 45-degree angle in a I called it a ditch bank, but he said, no, it's a river. It would be normally a river during the spring. Well, I put that up. We talked about jeeping in Moab and in St. George, and he got calls. He got deals. He got things that went for him. It was a way of endearing some people to him. That's what getting entrepreneurial is about. Now, do some things. I've got whatever, 6 things there. Do a behind the scenes view of things. We did this for a video, and it was just with a camera on a cell phone. And all this guy did was, it was his morning ritual as he's getting to work. And somebody else was recording it for him. And so he walks in the back door and it's a manufacturing facility. So he walks in the back door and he says hello to the shipping guys, and he goes wandering through the production people and waving, and he's got a hard hat on, and he's talking to a few, and stops at one and says, how's your son doing, who had been in a biking accident a few days before. And he knew these people. And then he went up front and he went through the sales department to the person at the front desk. And then he made it to his desk and he says, now I got to make some phone calls. So excuse me while I do that. And that was the end of the video. Now, we made it so that it was about a 2.5 minute video, but that 2.5 minute video got almost 100,000 views because people wanted to know more about him and know more about it. And one of the funny things was, they had a few people on his social media saying, oh yeah, you don't know your employees really. You probably just normally walk through, and with your head down and ignore those people, because that's what most businesses do. And he had people from his staff who were jumping on and saying, no, this was actually what he does every day. This is how he treats us. He is a great employer. Well, that's made a big difference. Okay, so tell a little bit about your personal life. You don't have to tell about all the things that you're doing, but tell a little bit. Tell them where you went on vacation. Talk about an employee. One of the best things you can do is talk about an employee, that, especially if they're known in the neighborhood where you want to, talk about where your social media is. You want to do some of those. And if you don't have any employees, talk about key partners. And, I had a customer, he says, well, I'm a solopreneur. What am I going to do? And I said, well, who's your advisors? And so he told me 4 advisors. And so we did a profile on each of these 4 advisors, talking about how he gets advice from these people who knew more about these things. You know what? Brought business to the advisors, brought business to him. And that's the key. So then you can also talk about, and a lot of people know, your vision and mission statements, your value statements. Those are great. And then if you ever get any recognitions, both for the company or you personally, recognize them, promote them online. It's not about being boastful. It's about letting people know that your peers or others around you are celebrating you, and that you are a outstanding person. I have won several awards from Chamber of Commerce for Businessman of the Year, Business of the Year. And then my wife was Businesswoman of the Year one time with one of them. These are all things that you want to do. Now, also we got awards from the National Press Association when we ran the community newspapers, and we would promote that, because if you're not promoting it, somebody else is going to promote them over you, and you don't want that. All right, so let's go on. Now, if you want an in-depth description of this, I do have this where you can go to a 1-hour class that's going to tell you all about the recipe for social media marketing. So please, if you're interested, send me an email. Actually, if you get this, if you sign up for the email that I'm going to send you at the end, you'll get a link to our video on that, so you can watch it anytime you want. Now let's continue on with step 4. Now, step 4 is, how do you create content without you having to create it all the time? Okay. A lot of my clients ask me about this. Well, let me tell you, here's some ideas. Content curation. This is when you find something that is in your industry or close to your industry, maybe not even in your industry, but is maybe important to those people that you're talking to, that are your prospects. Then do a repost of it. Now, there's a couple things with this there, and I'm going to hit this 2 or 3 times because it's so important. When you do something like that, say, I saw this on XYZ's social media. I want to thank XYZ social media or whatever it might be, but always give credit to them for having done it. Now, here's one of the advantages of it. If you use it and use their, like if you're on Facebook or Instagram, you use their @ symbol with their company name where you found it. It will then link you to them, but it also links their customers to you to read this again. It raises the awareness of the people who, one, have already read it and liked it, or two, those people who didn't read it from the first time when they saw it on somebody else's site, and now they're reading it on your site. And three, it brings more people to your site to find out what other cool curation you've done. Okay, so there's lots of reasons why, and you want to do that. The next one is using your customer reviews. I've talked about this already, but this is so strong, and you get your customers to create it. Perfect. If you need to help them with it, do that. When I ran the community newspaper, one of the things I loved doing, and because it's a community newspaper, and so I'd be sitting at a restaurant, somebody'd come up to me and say, boy, I just love your newspaper. I love, and they'd give me a little bit about it, what they love about it. And I'd say, can I quote you on that? That worked really well. I was able to then get that quote. I would put it together, email, and said, this is what you said the other day. Is it still okay for me to say that online? Because they hadn't put it online, but I wanted to get their permission. Once I do that, I would get people go, oh, I agree with that. Or I would get a lot of comments on it. But customer reviews are big. You get a customer review on any of your Facebook, your Google My Business, Thumbtack, it doesn't matter what. Go ahead and put them on all of your social medias. They put their name to it already. You're just going to promote it. In fact, one of my quotes that other people like to do is, I said, word of mouth advertising is really strong, but taking word of mouth advertising to the next level is stronger when you use reviews, because now it's not them promoting it, it's you promoting it whenever you want. And that builds a lot of trust with people when they see those. The next thing is user-generated content. Now, some people say, well, that's kind of like the others. Well, not really. So when I had the newspapers, I did a program, and we started it as a contest, but we just simply took away the winning of something, and it continued very strongly. It was called, Where Do You Read Your Journal? Now, we had pictures of people in their bathtubs reading it, in their backyards, on their sofa, with their dog, on top of their house while it's being built. We had them in the parks. We had them at the 4th of July celebrations. We had people all over the world. We had people on the beaches of Japan. We had them in Machu Picchu. We had people down in Florida. We had an airline pilot who's flew into the Heathrow Airport in London, and somebody took the picture from behind him. So you saw him with his hat on, you saw him reading the journal, and just above the journal it says, "Welcome to Heathrow Airport." And you see all the cockpit of the airplane. These were cool pictures from all over the world. We had somebody in the Himalayas that was there on a vacation. They took it with them. we had lots of content. We were getting between 50 and 100 photos every single month for a couple of years. And it's their content that they're sending in, and we would put that online. Now, guess what happened? We put it on Facebook or on Instagram. Of course, when we started this program, Instagram was brand new, but we put it on Facebook. We put it on some of the others, and immediately the people would say, hey, my picture of me reading the journal is on. And we got more and more people that would follow us. We would pick up every month that we put some in there, we'd pick up hundreds of people. That was what it was all about. We were trying to build our name for ourselves. Well, here was a great way of doing it, and it helped build our social media as well. So, understand that helping them give you content is what we were doing by having that contest. And then we didn't even have to have the contest because people were more interested in being in our newspaper or being on our social media site than they were in the prizes we were giving away before. We didn't learn that until after, something we should have learned, but we didn't. All right, next one is professional videos. This is something that you really need to pay attention to. Now, you don't need to do professional videos every time you do it. You need to have a few professional videos done from time to time. Now, on my website, if you go to bpmedia.com, it starts playing one of our professionally made videos. It's an interview of me. Why do I do this? And then the video right below that is another professionally made one of how do we do this? These are all professionally made. I don't use professionally made all the time, but I use them, and I use them from time to time, and they really do up the quality of what people see. Now, there's other things you can do, like one of our friends works over at Channel 4, and he gets people on Good Things Utah, and Good Things Utah will send them the video, the MP4, so that they can use it. Well, they send it to us and we chop it up. We put bits and pieces on it, and it becomes a really strong thing, and it's professionally made. We love that. And so don't discount professional video. Even if you're spending $500 or so, it can be well worth it for you if you're trying to get a lot of business out of it. And so, in fact, we did a whole education about using videos on your social media. Now, here's another one, reposting hot content. Now, it's very similar to content curation, but it is different. Hot content doesn't necessarily have to be something you're liking or it goes along with your industry. It can simply be something that you want to, that's got lots and lots of followers. And so it's really a fun one to do. On that particular one, we had a person who he's kind of a funny guy. And so he was doing all these stunts and tricks, and he'd always muff them up. Well, people loved it. They were laughing. They were, well, we reposted some of those because he had 100,000 people following that or had liked it and watched it. We reposted and just simply said, hey, funny video from, and again, like content curation, tell where you found it and put a link to them. And it really works. So, finding hot content is easy, especially on Instagram. When you go to Instagram and you click on search, before you can put anything in there, it brings up a whole bunch of videos. And those are all hot content. They're things that have lots of shares. Go to using some of those. And they're not always videos. They're still images. They might be all kinds of things. And make it so that it kind of ties into what you're doing, but doesn't always have to. It can be just simply, I just saw this and it was hilarious. You want to see this. And it was Robin Williams with, I forget who all was there, but it was on a talk show, and it was hilarious. And so I put that on there. It's been a couple of years now, but it still did well for us, even though it was somebody else's content and I told about it. Now, one of the other things is promote your blogs. If you're doing blogs and case studies on your website, do that. Now, some people say, well, that's creating your own. Well, no, you've created the blog already. So this is kind of separate. This is just simply you create an image that it's real simple to do. And then you put the first couple of paragraphs of your blog in there. And then you say, to continue reading this, go to, and then put the link in there. They click on it. They're going over to your website. This gets people to your website very, very well. Also, putting case studies out there are very good. And if you want to know what a case study is and how to get those correctly done, I have an hour training on just simply utilizing case studies. And there's 4 different things you need to do and how to do them and how to present them. All right. Still on step 4, we're going to be talking about different types of videos. Now, there are lots of different videos and they are all over the place. And some of them change, some of them they change all the time, actually. In fact, I was on Facebook today and I said, oh, where did this go? Oh, they put it under this new tab. Okay, so understand that with social media, things are always changing. They're trying to upgrade them. Now, sometimes I'm going, really? I don't think that's an upgrade. That's a downgrade. But it is. Now, here's the different video types. Live video. These are really popular right now. And there's some really good things you need to know about them. With live video, you can put them on YouTube. You can put them on Facebook, Instagram. There's several others. In fact, I heard the other day that you can do some of those on LinkedIn. And that's great if you've got something that you can do live that's going to draw people in. Now, I've seen live video really do well and live video that does poor. So here's some examples of what I've seen. Let me move my curtain here. All right. So one of the things that I've found is if you're doing a grand opening of your business or you're promoting a brand new product that you're getting, that's a great reason to have a live video. Okay, do that. But here's some key things. Oh, let me tell you a few other examples of it. You can do it for a special sale. You can do it when you have a celebrity coming to your location. If you're a brick and mortar business, you can do all kinds of different things with it. Maybe you're celebrating Kids Day or whatever it might be. Be sure you can use the live video to do that. Now, if you're going to have kids in it, you got to make sure it's okay with the parents. Don't just simply have them in it, because that can get you into trouble. But live video can really work. But here's the key to live video working the best, especially on these 3 that I've got listed here: Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can schedule them. It has to be more than 24 hours in advance, but schedule them. Now, here's the key and why you would schedule it. If you're going to schedule it, it then, for instance, Facebook will go out, and every time somebody comes onto Facebook and they're going to put into their message or into their feed, or into their, I guess it's not your direct messenger, but into things that are happening, they'll tell you about it. Instagram will send you a message in your direct messenger and say, hey, so-and-so is going live. And then when they do go live, it'll come up and remind you if you're on there. So anytime you go on, you'll get reminded and you can say, oh, I want to watch that. And you can put that down on a schedule. You can then be there, and it can really be a strong thing. So be sure to do something like that. There was a lady that I saw the other day, and she was doing a live demo of how to use certain products from Mary Kay Cosmetics. And so she was doing a live demo on her mom. And it was amazing how younger her mom looked after that. So those are the kind of things. Live videos are very, very popular, and you want to try to use them if you can. Stories. This is another one. Now, this is a little different. Live videos are generally horizontal. You can do them vertical, but we found that a lot of people jump off of vertical live videos faster than if they're horizontal. They like to see a wider view of what's going on. With stories, it's a vertical format. It's great for flash sales. It's great for quick trainings, fun things. But here's the thing, it goes up on, it's mainly on Facebook and YouTube. YouTube is who's kind of started it. It was kind of went along to compete with some other social media platforms like Snapchat. And but it's only 30 seconds long, and it only stays up for 24 hours. Now, you can take that and add, you can stitch more together. So instead of it being 30 seconds, you make it 60 or 90, or you can go on from there. I had one person who did a kind of a mini book on it, and it was 20 chapters, but each chapter was 30 seconds long. So you need to, if you want to do something like that, it's kind of fun, and it's something you can do with stories. So look at that. And now one of the things with stories is they can go viral, and they are shown only to the people who are following you, your friends, your followers. Okay. The next one though is Reels. Now this is kind of like stories, but and it's mainly, it says Facebook, it's actually on Instagram, and Facebook is going to be implementing it if they haven't already. But these are for the non-followers. Now they try to look at who's following you, and they'll put them into, they'll start showing Reels to people who are similar in what their taste is of people who are following you. So this works out really good. I've got some people who started doing Reels, and it's increased their traffic considerably. In fact, let me show you a couple of those in a moment. So here's a few of those, and then I'll get to the IGTV. This is a story. This is a school back in Nantucket, and this is a story, and you'll notice that there's lines here every once in a while. That's where it breaks. This one is 2 minutes long because it's 4 90 or 30-second videos put together, and it really helped them increase their amount of kids who their parents were bringing them to Nantucket school. Now, this one is a story. You'll notice it doesn't have the thing across the top. This one is this is a reel. This is a story. This reel is for people who are not Dan Clark's followers, and it was to encourage them to come be part of his following. He was talking in this particular case about on Fridays on Instagram, he does funny Fridays, and he tells jokes or funny stories or anecdotes, and these are kind of funny. This one was a restaurant that was trying to get some of their customers back. They just were having a tough time figuring out how to do it. They did this. It only ran for 24 hours. It's only a 30-second video, but it just simply got people's attention. Banana, chocolate, pancakes with Nutella, bananas, and whipped cream. Yeah, they had people lining up 2 hours after this came out, and they brought people back that they hadn't seen for years. That's what stories can do. They were following them on Instagram in that case. They just simply weren't coming back as often as they wanted. But once they started showing these, now, funny thing, they're now doing one of these every week, and they highlight a different thing. Now, with the over-the-counter cafe, they have more than just breakfast things. They have also some lunch stuff. So they did one the other day, and it was a really fast putting together a hamburger. So you see them throw the meat on the thing, they throw the bun on, they're grilling some things, they throw it all together, they put on the onion, tomato, pickles, and put it on the plate with French fries, and they pass it to the server. These have been very good for them. It's helped them build up their business, especially after COVID. IGTV and Facebook videos. Now, these are in horizontal format. These are longer videos. Now, if you're going to do just a 1 or 2 minute video, you'll be okay with using their standard video. Now, this is not to be confused with live video. These are pre-recorded. Now, you can actually run pre-recorded things as live for an event. Okay, but these are, you put them up, and like in the case of Dan Clark, he does a program called Master Your Morning, and it comes out on Monday mornings, and it's an IGTV and Facebook video. And so as you're going along, what it does is it shows the first 30 seconds of it, and then it says, do you want to continue watching it? Click. When they click, they see that people are watching it. They get a lot of people that are going to those videos. If you've got the right content in that first 30 seconds or even 15 seconds, you'll keep people there long term. And that's what this does. IGTV, which is, of course, Instagram TV, and Facebook videos. Okay, so those are some that are very hot. Now, if you're going to do a video, though, a horizontal video, I recommend putting a cover on it. This is a cover for Candy Graves, and it is, this was one of her videos that she had done, and so we created a cover. Now, here's the advantage to a cover. When you're using a cover, when it finishes on some of them, it will show the cover, and that's where it stops. When you're starting it, if it's not set up to automatically start, it'll bring up the cover rather than somebody that is looking like they're trying to talk, and they're got their eyes closed, their mouth open, and they're going to catch flies here soon. Well, utilizing something like this makes it look professional, and that's what I recommend, is putting a cover on it. And almost all formats allow you to do that. I don't think you can do it on Instagram, but I know on Facebook you can. YouTube encourages it, and so does LinkedIn. They encourage it as well. So be sure to put a cover on it. Now let's go on to a couple things. I'm going to give you a couple of tools and tips right here, because there's some things that you need to know. Some people say it is so hard to put together a videos, or it's so hard to do all of these things. I use some tools that make it so very easy for you to do it. Now, here's some tips and trips. So if you're making images, I use a program called Stencil. I know a lot of people use Canva. Canva I use as well, but Canva can get to be expensive on their free version. And you can get into a paid version and such, but there's some disadvantages to it. And one of the big disadvantages I don't like is you start building something, you've created something that's in Facebook size, like this image to your right, but now you want to put it over in Instagram. Wait a minute, you have to start over. And so every time you do that, you start over. With Stencil, I can click on a button and it'll allow me to change the sizing. I may have to move things around a little bit, but I have the basic things still there. Still, I don't have to retype anything, and it works really, really well. Stencil allows you to do 10 images per month for free. If you're going to go above 10 images a month, then it's like $9 or $10, and you can get a whole lot more. Now, I have an unlimited plan because I do 200 or so. Yeah, I use it all the time. But you got to understand, it has over 5 million photos on there. It has quotes from people. It has all kinds of different things in there, and it has all of the different sizes for your social media, for anything you can think of, and you can put in your own sizing as well, which is a great thing. So next one is video creation tool. I love Big View, and that's what I'm showing here up to the right. Big View is a teleprompter video recording program. So your camera's at the top of the screen, right up here. Then this will keep you, it'll scroll, and it looks like you're just simply talking to the camera. Now, I'm not using this right now because this is a 2-hour thing, but you can understand how important that is, especially if you're trying to get it just right. You can take it over and over and over, but Big View has a lot of other things going for it. You can add music in behind it. You can put captioning on it. You can do some clipping, changing. Hey, I put in an extra word, like many people have the ums or ahs, ands, and you can take those out. And it's really easy, and it just simply easily takes those out. I love it. So utilize Big View. Now, Big View has a short-term try us, you'll like us, and you will. You're going to get used to it. I love all my videos that I do that are 5 minutes or less. I use a Big View for. If they're longer than that, I'm usually recording them like this. The next one is PowerPoint. Now, PowerPoint is both a really powerful tool for video and for still images. A lot of people use it for their word processing sometimes. Well, I don't know why you do that, but videos can really add to it, and you can do a lot of animation with it. Having things moving and changing and all the time. Those are really cool. And so I recommend that. Now, if you want any of these things, I do have a link for all of these things. Okay, not PowerPoint, but all the rest. You can go to bpmedia.com/resources to find out more about any of those. Okay. Now, I'm not finished with step 4, and I'm getting close to out of time, right? No, I'll be all right. How to up your game on posting. This is very important. Using the mini blogs, and I mentioned mini blogs earlier. These are less than 600 words, and they're on your social media. You can also tie them into full blogs, or you can just simply make them stand alone. But using mini blogs is huge for getting people to say, "Oop, I like this guy. I'm going to go to their website. I'm going to follow him," whatever it might be. The next one is being creative with your stories. Don't just simply stand there and talk on stories or Instagram. These are videos that you can make and do all kinds of things with. Make it fun, make it entertaining. Don't overdo it though. I saw one the other day. I'm going, I don't know if I'd want to do business with them because they did that. But be creative. Listicles. These are, in fact, this is an image over on the right. This is a thing saying, hey, you can get this from our website, 55 ways to earn income from home. Now, a lot of people would love to get that listicle, and that's what it is. It's a list of things that they can do. It doesn't have to be long. It can be short. I mean, it kind of goes along with David Letterman's old program where he said, what's the top 10 things? And then he'd start with 10 and go up to 0. And these are kind of like that. People love those kind of things. And so it's important to utilize. Educational that attracts prospects. These are ones where you're taking the information you found from your customers of what attracted them, and you're going to put that into educational as well. What is it that is attracting these people? And you want to put that as a video, and it's specifically for the prospects, not the customers, because customers are already doing business with you, but make it for the prospects, not just the customer. And the next one is call to actions. Now you can make call to actions that don't look like call to actions. Would you like more information? Click here. That's a call to action. Call to actions are, what is it you want your prospect or customer to do after they've consumed whatever you've posted? That's what you do. You say, oh, want more information? Go here. Want to register now for our class? You guys all did that. That's what this is all about. It's a call to action. Get them to do something. Maybe you're asking them to leave a comment below. All of that is important. Okay. Posting and reposting tweets. Now here's a clever idea. I had not thought of this until a few months ago when somebody told me about this. If you're tweeting, tweets tend to get, if you're being popular, or you have something that's popular, if you've got something you tweeted and it says, "Ooh, there was 85 people who loved it and there was 85 people who commented on it," you take a screenshot of it and then you post it on your social media, other social media. Now, what that does is when you post that on Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest, or it doesn't matter which, as long as it's a static image area, this really helps. Because then when people say, "Ooh, I like that too," and they'll click on it. And so it's always good to get more. It's easier to get clicks on tweets anyway. And people on Twitter tend to be a little more about commenting as well. So this is important for you to use. Okay. Next up, reposting content from others. We talked about this as well. And that's both the content curation and then also hot content. So, but do it right. Be sure to give them credits for doing it, because if you do, then it's not going to be a problem. If you don't, it can be a problem, because if they purchase the image from a service and you don't give them the credentials for it, then they'll come back after you saying you can't post that, because they think you got it yourself. Where if you say, "Hey, I got this from ABC company's site," then they look and say, "Oh yeah, they purchased it," and they're just simply reposting. Now I'm going to talk to you about influencers for a minute. Now this is step 5. We're moving on. Influencers are people who have a lot of people who follow them, and in many cases they are able to say, "Hey, I tried this product and you're going to love it." And I'll tell you some examples of those in a moment. But let me tell you about the different sizes of influencers. A micro one has 5,000 to 10,000 followers. A mini one is 10,000 to 100,000 followers. A true influencer is over 100,000. And then if you're over 1 million, it's a super influencer. Okay. And those are followers. They're people who are following them, whether it be on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, doesn't matter. They're all influencers. Now, the key is find someone that has a similar customer base that you want. And I'll give you an example of this. If you're looking at a influencer who has a large cosmetic following, it will probably not do very well for a restaurant. We did this with a restaurant not long ago. They wanted it, and the influencer, because they had about 150,000 people on their following, they charged them $500 to do this. They got 4 people to follow them. 4, because they were the wrong people. I mean, this cosmetic person, she has people all over the country, in fact, probably all over the world, where the restaurant is only a one-off restaurant just in a little community here in Utah. Well, a lot of people, I guess, didn't follow that lady, or they didn't like that she was saying, "Oh, this restaurant, you need to go try it." If you're out of state, you're not going to try it, because you're not coming into state just simply to try a restaurant. Now, there's a couple other things to understand with influencers, though. So there is a level of influence. So, for example, an A influencer, so an A level, they get 15% of their followers that will like their videos or watch their videos, or like or watch their images that they have put in. So 15% of whoever they have. So that one person I told you earlier that had 3,000 followers and they were getting 450, they were an A influencer. Okay, but it goes down. B influencers have a 10% follower. Oh, by the way, the 7% on the first one is those that comment. So if they're getting a comment on them and they're getting 7%, man, they're an A influencer as well. Okay, B influencers, 10% and 4, C influencers, 5% and 2, and a D influencer is 3% of their followers are liking their videos or watching their videos or liking their images, whatever it might be. And it goes down to 1% that are following or giving them comments. Now, one of the things that you need to pay attention to as well is how much should you be spending on an influencer? And this, again, goes back to what I asked on the previous page. What do they have the same customer base that you do? Because if they don't, it doesn't matter. And then once you do, I had a person the other day say, oh, we'll do it for $450. And I'm looking at who they're going after and who they have on their following, and they're not the right people. It was for my business, which I do social media marketing, but they were promoting me and saying, hey, we're this book club, and we have these 75,000 people who follow us on the book club. Well, I don't care about a book club. Yes, I do have fiction books that I could do, and that would be where it was, but that's not what they were approaching me about. They were saying that BP Media could get a lot more business by having this influencer or these influencers doing something for me. Sorry, it didn't, no matter how much I was going to pay, it didn't make a difference. Well, let me go back for a moment and tell you one thing. I had a customer who I was working with, and they did these mini trampolines. And these mini trampolines had been phased out from almost everywhere. But this guy said, I want to buy all of your leftovers that you have. And he bought them from all the big retail stores as the original company was going out of business. And then he went over and had them made over in China. Now, of course, most of them were being made in China anyway. So he just found who it was and said, I'd like to continue buying them. So he was buying probably over Christmas time, he'd buy 2,000 or 3,000, something like that. Well, a guy who is in Texas, who does a fishing and hunting program, started talking about, you got to get ready for the hunting season. And here's a great thing. And let me show you, I love mine. And he got on it and he started, bouncing up and down. He says, this really works me so that I am in shape for going hunting. By the way, you can get this online at this company's web address. Well, he had told the company he was going to do this. They had about 2,200, 2,500 in stock at the time. And okay, that'll be fine. Well, this follower or this influencer had about 200,000 people who were following him. Now, I don't know about you, but if you even get 1% of those, that's a lot of people, right? Well, they sold out of their 2,500 within 5 days. They had to reorder. Now, they actually had their Christmas order on the way to them. And so they sold out of their Christmas order by 2 weeks. They had to order a bunch more, and they let people know, hey, we're out. I mean, this is so popular. We're out right now, but we'll have it. And they gave them dates of when they would have it, and they took care of them. In the end, they sold about 7,800 of these little mini trampolines from the 200,000 people. Now, does that make a big difference to you? It can. So you get the right influencer giving the right message on the right product, and influencers can be really, really a big thing for you. Now let's go on to step 6. Step 6 is understanding the types of engagement. Now, we talked a little bit about some of these, but video views is one of them. You need to, if you've got a video up there, you want to see how long how many people are viewing the videos. And it depends on your social media, how they rank it or give you information on. Some of them, they have to see 50% or more before they say, oh, your video was seen. Others, if they go beyond 15 or 30 seconds, then it's going to be that. So you need to pay attention to what that statistic means to each one of the social media sites. But video views is really important. So are likes in many places. Now, likes sometimes, especially on images, is always going to be lower than video views, because video views, you don't even have to like it, you're just viewing it. Now, if you, on some of them, you can actually like them as well. That's perfect. So you see that as well. The next one is comments. How many are you getting comments on? If you're getting negative comments, you got to be careful with that. But you want to get good comments and good people sharing them as well. Those are the 4 big ones, but there's also one more that a lot of people forget. And that's how much traffic is being driven to your website from your social media. Now, these are all about engagement. How are you engaging them? Now, if you've got a good program on your back end of your website, it will tell you where your people are coming from. Are they coming from Instagram? Are they coming from Pinterest? Are they coming from Facebook? It doesn't matter. It'll tell you, and that helps you know where your engagement is coming from. So important to know. Now, others are saves on Instagram. Saves are very important, but they're not as important as the other 5 above them, or 6 above them, I guess. With saves, it is when you see something you like, you can save it, and so you can see how many people saved your images. Maybe they're going to be reposting them. Maybe they're going to post them at some future time. Maybe they just simply want to refer back to them and read them again. That is all awesome. So be sure to pay attention to the saves. Direct messages is the next one. And if you're getting people who are direct messaging you from the social media, like Instagram is really strong with this, so is Facebook. If you're getting direct messages, you want to be responding to them very quickly, especially if they're asking questions about your products. And the last one is always have a branded hashtag for you. This is important because, and to be honest, BP Media is one of my branded hashtags. I also do Big Picture Media. As I mentioned before, there were people who were already using BP Media and Big Picture Media in Instagram. Well, I actually have taken over some of those. They still put things on, but it's like 1 or 2 for my 10 or 12. And so a lot of people will go to my hashtag and see what else is on there. It's a great thing to use. So have a branded hashtag that you use all the time. And I'm going to talk about hashtags here in a few minutes. So don't worry, I'm going to tell you more about hashtags. Now, here's how do you get and maintain engagement? This is important for everybody. Your goal is to build a relationship with your audience. And you can look at the metrics that you get from your social media to be able to see how well you're doing. But you need to know how to do it. And that's the key. Here's some of those. Post great content every day. I had a person that I was talking to a few weeks ago, and he said, "Oh, I post all the time." So I went to his social media. He posted 4 times this year. Wait a minute. It's September. In 9 months, you posted 4 times. That's not very often. Post every day. You want to have what is called top of mind awareness. And if you're not getting that, you're not going to get the results that you want. So you've got to be posting more often. Now, Friday or Saturdays and Sundays, some people don't post on that, and that's okay. For most business people, Monday through Friday is when you need to be posting, with a few things on Saturday and Sunday. Restaurants should be anytime. Those personal, ultra personal things, do those as a on it every day, including Saturday and Sunday. The next one is do some testing. Now, that may be an A/B testing, or maybe it is you throw something up and then you throw the next one up and you see which one did the best for you, and then you do more of those type, whichever one was the best. I recommend this for everybody, but especially to find out what people want and what they don't want. Next one is respond to all your comments. If you're getting direct messages, respond to them. If you're getting reviews, respond to them. There's a lot of things. Now, one other is using hashtags. Now, of course, I mentioned this. I'm going to do a whole thing, a whole slide on hashtags. So not to worry, it's a couple down, but I'll talk more about that. But here's one of my favorite things to do is giveaways and contests. Time for a giveaway. What is the difference between a giveaway and a contest? Giveaways is something you give away to everyone. A contest is where someone or a few someones win. And so, but on giveaways, it's you need to do this and then you can get that. And so, and I'll have some things that I'll show you in a couple slides about that as well. And they're called lead magnets that you use. Here are some 10 ways to re-engage people who are not responding. Now, I showed you one of them. I'll show them again, but you got to be real. You've got to have consistency and quality. You've got to use groups. Now, groups are a great one, and I'll talk about that again in a minute. Use shout outs. Shout out a customer, shout out a vendor, shout out somebody that you really appreciate them giving you a referral. In fact, doing shout outs is really good for your business because it reminds other people to give you referrals as well. Post better content. If you're not posting the right content, you're not going to get the response that you want. Mix up the content and don't always use those 2 or 3 types that I mentioned before, which is education, that's fluff, and it's offers all the time. The fluff is more things like, quote of the day, things that say, hey, happy Friday. What are you doing for Friday? There's a place for all of these, but just not every time. Okay. Use stories and reels. This will attract people, especially if you're innovative with them. People love those. Use the giveaways. I've mentioned that already. But giveaways and contests really get people engaged. Then respond to every comment. I mentioned that one. And then add call to actions to all your posts. Now, going back to these have done very well because they have re-engaged people. The Nantucket School, they were trying to get people who had been following him, but have not gotten the kids or the parents of the kids to sign them up. Well, they started doing these stories and it did very well. I told you the story about Over the Counter Cafe really has done some good things for them. All right, number 7, some aggressive engagement strategies. And I'm almost done, guys, even though there's still 5 more to go. We're almost done. Now, tag influencers that have the same or similar customer base. Don't tag them if they don't like it, but tag them if they do have that customer base and don't mind that. It can add to their customer base as well, but it also brings their customer base to you. Okay, then you can invite friends. Invite them to like you, to do some, come to your site to follow you. I don't know how many times I've gone to a place and I'm going, you only have 25 followers and 23 of them are your employees. Why don't you have them invite their friends to follow? Oh, I didn't know I could do that. Or, oh, I don't know that. I only want people who are interested. Well, let me tell you, even if you invite your friends, once you've invited them, they have the choice of either joining or not. If they don't, it's okay. You're not going to shut them off. If they do, great. They want to see what you're doing for work. So go ahead, follow, get your friends to follow. Like bombing. Now this is really, I'm going to be doing a whole course on this, or an hour conversation about it coming up in November. But bombing is a great way of getting people to, suddenly your post is getting a lot of people there. And so I'll talk about that at another time. But engagement groups are something a little bit similar. Engagement groups is you've got a group of people that are, whenever you're going to be posting something, they're going to jump on and engage with it quickly so that it will be pushed up in the popularity contest and be pushed into the search content. And once you do that, it really takes off. Another one is like for likes. This is where somebody and you have decided, hey, you like mine, I'll like yours. Now there's some good things and bad things about this. Instagram has done likes for likes in getting customers. Some people have. But the problem is you can only have 5,000 people following you or you following them. And if you hit 5,000, you're not going to go above that. So you've got to be careful with that. Likes for likes are great for the for going after your images or your videos, but not so much about getting customers. Now, one of the things I always tell you is do not buy followers. It decreases your influencer status. One of my clients, they were an A and B right in that area, and they went and got a bunch of new followers, and suddenly they didn't get any more people who were interacting with them. They just have a lot more followers. And the problem is it decreased their influencer status. And while they have a lot more followers, they don't have anywhere. They're down in the D level right now of status. So be careful with that. Okay. Next thing, this is number 8. Everybody's heard about a sales funnel in the past. Well, this is the digital sales funnel. Do you have a sales funnel? Do you know how to create it? It's using your social media to attract people. Then you're going to move them over to a Facebook page or to your store, I guess. You can use either one, and you get them so that they're either getting educated or they're doing some things that you want to move them along. And then once you do, then they come and do business with you. So always remember what you want your prospects to do and use that. It came from your step 1 and step 2 that we talked about before. And then, of course, the bio leak that I mentioned in step 3 is also very important. And you may, at this point, I mention this because many times when people get to this point, they're going to go, oh, I need to really change that because now I have some better ideas of how to do that. And so I hope you do. Okay. And then you use stories. And on stories, if you have a story and you have more than 10,000 followers, they can swipe up and it'll take them to your website or wherever that might be. But stories is going to be changing that. They're saying it'll be changing in October, and they're going to make the announcement sometime this month. I've not heard it yet, what they're going to change it. I don't know if they're going to change it so swipe up doesn't work, doesn't happen, or they're going to lower it, or it's going to, I don't know what they're going to do. So we'll have to wait and see. Step 8 also, here's some sales strategy. What would happen tomorrow if all of your social media accounts got shut off? Now, it's probably not going to happen that all of them would be shut off at once, but maybe it will. What if your Facebook gets shut off? Well, I have most of my clients are on both Facebook and Instagram. And then there's a lot of them over on Pinterest as well as the Twitter. So it's easy for me to move back and forth. And then I also have a lot of them that are on my email newsletter. And so if I get shut off, I still have ways of contacting my people. Okay. And you use lead magnets to capture your prospects' information. This is a great thing. And I mentioned that. We're going to go into that in a minute about what makes a good lead magnet. You need to build a drip email marketing campaign. I do recommend this, even though that's not social media, it's digital media. And it's important to have a email campaign that's going to keep those customers live. I have a real estate agent that he does that. He has customers. He's been in business 35 years. Actually, I think it's over that. But he has people that he did the first few years he was in business. Now their kids and their grandkids are using him because he's kept in touch with them. He keeps connecting with them, and he uses email for a lot of that nowadays. So it's important to do. Before that, he was using snail mail. And so important. Then you guide your prospects back and forth between your email, website, and landing page to your social media, because social media, you're going to be posting once a day. So it keeps the top of mind. But then you also want to bring them back to the others, getting them so that they re-engage with you on either your website, in person, your landing page, or to sign up for a new email. Okay, those are all part of it. Now, also with sales strategies, you need to know who your competitors are, both your direct and your indirect competitors. Now, a lot of times people say, oh, well, I know who my direct competitors are. Who are my indirect competitors? I was meeting with a guy one time, and he has one of these playhouses that does spoofs on things. And I asked him, well, who his indirect competitors were. And I knew kind of who they were. And he says, well, I don't understand. What is an indirect competitor? And I says, well, it's somebody that could take the money that they would have spent to come to your place to go somewhere else. And he says, oh, well, I guess that's like movie theaters then. And that's the symphony. It's the ballet. And he started naming all these places off. And I said, it's now you need to know who your indirect people are, because as you get going along, you're going to want to do some things with it. And I'll show you those in a few minutes. What are they posting? What hashtags are they using? You can use their hashtags, the same ones they're using, to promote yourself. This is where you can go find hashtags from. You can engage with some of their competitors' followers and then make offers as well. So so many people, they don't engage with the people who are asking them questions on social media. Well, I have a guy who is doing this. He goes into his competitor's site, and when he sees somebody saying, oh, how can you do this? He goes in and answers it for him. But he's not with that company. And those people move over to him because the original company did not answer their question. And he only answers it after it's been up for, I think, 12 hours is what he told me, because he wants to give them the opportunity. But if they're not going to take it, he'll take it. And then you use your unique value proposition or your sales proposition to get people to be attracted to you. That's all part of your sales strategy. Okay. And here's, you need to work with with whichever ones you need to. This is kind of a reminder of all the things that we've learned so far. Help them know the benefits and options. Only start with 2 or 3 social media accounts to start with, and then build from there, using it so it's top of mind awareness, and use internet reviews as soon as you can. Now let's get on to number 9. Number 9 is all about hashtag strategies. And so do research, find out. Now here's the thing. All you have to do is go to your competitors that are doing well online, and you can see what their hashtags are that they are using. Find at least 15 that you can use. Now, they may not be the same ones on every single time you post, but you need to have about 15. And so you use the first few hashtags in your post, and you put those at the end of your post, not in the middle of them. Some people just, as soon as they see a hashtag in the middle of a post, they stop reading. And so you don't want to have that. Now, you can also add additional hashtags in the comments. This is important. So if you have a lot of hashtags, I had a customer who had a lot of hashtags, and they were putting 35, 40, 45 hashtags. Well, the post wasn't ever being posted, and they couldn't figure out why. It's because there's a limit of 30 hashtags on Instagram and Facebook. Do any more than that, they throw you out. By the way, the optimum is put 6 to 8. Put all the rest in your additional comments of when you do it. Now, what are some effective lead magnets? I mentioned lead magnets to get people into your social media or into your email marketing and other digital things. Here are some that you can use. I'm not going to go into each of them, but it gives you an idea of what is available out there. And they do really well. Okay. And they will grab people's attention, and you'll be able to see that you're getting them to follow you that way. Now, contests and giveaways. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. What is the outcome you want from it? What you normally want for the outcome may not be always what you are getting. And so you need to figure out what the outcome is from the beginning. Who do you want to attract? I used to work with a lot of the expos around in Salt Lake and on a national level. And we had a guy in Salt Lake. He sat at a table, didn't tell who he was with. He had a big TV behind him that says, "Win me." And then he had a big glass bowl in front of him. And all he did was sit there all day saying, "Enter our contest to win the TV." Well, at the end of the time, the problem was he had nearly 2,500 cards, I'll bet. because there was about that many people that had went through the show. Well, they started going through them, and a week or so later, I went and talked to the owner, and I says, "How's that happening?" He says, "Oh, it's terrible." He says, "Why?" He says, "People, when they see that we're calling, they think they won the TV." And, of course, somebody did, but we were calling to find out if they would like some IT help. We repair computers. And I said, "Well, that was never explained. And you went after everybody." "Well, everybody can use us." No, if you're going after everybody, it means you're going after nobody. So you got to know, who do you want to attract? Then, is the price compelling to attract those people? Not everyone. You don't want everyone, or most of the time you don't want everyone. And is it relevant to them? And if you want more information about those kind of things, let's have a conversation. Multi-company giveaways. This is kind of fun, where you and 3 other companies are going to give away some prizes. Maybe you're going to give away one prize to every one of the others, but they're going to get you're going to give away to one of their prizes. They're going to give away someone else's prize. Or you can have it so that a big winner is going to get it, and they get all 4 prizes, whatever you might want to do. Okay, and that works out really well. And everyone wins with giveaways. And so this is a fun one. Now, this one is fun. This is all about utilizing the new video programs. Of course, we've talked about IGTV. We've talked about stories. We've talked about reels, live streaming videos. But this one that's to the left here is a moving image video. It does attract attention, and you'll want to think about using something like that. It can really help your business grow as well. Okay, competitor follows. And this one is, who are your competitors? Well, then find those that are commenting on their posts and comment as well. We talked about that one, but engage their clients on their feed. Go ahead and if they're not engaging with them, you go ahead engaging on it. It takes a little work, but it is a way of gaining some additional traction. With this one, it's utilizing groups. Groups are great. There's groups to belong to, and then you can share to. There's advantages to having your own groups. If you want more information, I have a whole training course on groups, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups. There are other groups out there like Alignable, Clubhouse, Lunch Club, and local business groups. And all of those can help you. Number 10 is all about calendaring. This is getting your message out easy. So here's what happens. It makes it easier when you figure out what you're going to do. Now, here in this particular case, Halo Branded Solutions, he's using 3 of our posts, and then he puts in his own custom quote or custom content. And this works out really well because he can do it anytime he wants. He can schedule it months in advance if he wants. And then one of the other things he's found is if he answers the questions that people are asking him or his staff, it really makes it easy to know exactly what to be posting about. But the key is creating a plan. Now, I talked to you about the recipe for social media success. If you were to plug that into a calendar, that would do it as well. So here you have, I put inspirational on Monday, I put educational on Tuesday, promotional Wednesday, and you can see where everything is. And as I put these in, you can see I'm not using anything to duplicate it, but it makes it easy. So when you get to Monday the 10th, you know you're going to do a before and after, and you will have already gotten something ready for that. When you get to the live events on the it's actually the next month, you'll know that it's coming up. So that's the thing. And so utilize some of this. And that's what 9 is about. Actually, that was number 10. And this is number 11, is mastering your social media. These are all about offers. Offers don't always need to be about discounts. You can simply add something of value. I have a auto shop that does oil changes, and every time you get an oil change, you get free windshield wipers. And so that's what that's something of value that you're getting in addition. Now, it only costs them $4 to add that to it instead of giving them a discount. but it gives a bigger perceived value of $12 to $15. And so for that, it's really worked out well for that company. It's been years since I've mentioned that to them, and they're still using it today. And they say they have customers who come in faithfully just because they want that. Okay, highlight a product or service. That's a great one. Make discounts meaningful. Have a customer who one time was trying to sell some widgets, and he couldn't get anybody to come in because they were things he wanted to sell. Well, he had products in there that everybody wanted to buy. I said, promote those and put the widgets next to them. He sold the widgets by selling the products he had next to him, and it worked out really well. And then offer something others won't, or what they want. And so these are all ideas for it. Now, the last thing is put together your job description, your goals, and your research. It can be done easily. Once you get this so you've mastered it and you've put these things together, you can do your entire social media for the next week in usually 1, occasionally it may take 2 hours, but that's for the whole week, not per day, whole week, 1 to 2 hours. Okay, and here's the rest of this is, make sure you get the decision of what goals you're doing. Make sure you change those goals that as you move along. And then what will hiring someone do for your bottom line if you follow what you have set up? It will give you considerable oomph. So you know how to talk to your customers. So tell them in your own voice what you want it to do. And then also have the job description and other things. So that's what I have to tell you about today. I am starting a class starting on Monday that is about learning to master your social media. It's a 13-week course. Starts on Monday, and then it's 12 weeks after that. So you will get to ask questions. This one is the initial one. So you'll get to ask questions. Everybody else in the future will be listening to it, and then they have to use email to get a hold of me to do more with this. But bring your questions to the training, get clarifications. These are all real cool things. Get a discount by helping me build the class. Now, originally we were going to raise the price on this a couple of weeks ago. I've decided not to, but here it is. It's 30 minutes per day for the class, and that's on Monday. And then I'll give you instructions of what to do for the other 4 days for 30 minutes a day. Then it'll be a great one. We will record it so you can rewatch it anytime you want, or if you can't make it to the recording, you can then get to it later when you can. It'll have handouts, it'll have guides, it'll have all kinds of things that go along with it. Now, this course will be sold for $4.99 after this class is complete. And so the price for you to get into it is $199 if you do so by Sunday night. And then it will go up because we'll be starting it on Monday, the 13th, which is next week. It will go for 12 weeks, which means 13 classes in all. And there'll be all kinds of additional training, like a lot of these videos that I have that I mentioned in here will be additional training, and they'll be part of, you get an hour training. Well, watch 30 minutes on Tuesday, 30 minutes on Wednesday, and you then can take it and work with it from there. So, but I'd love to have you in there. I'd love to have you on. Is there any questions at this point? I'm now coming up to the end. Would love to have you do this. Now, I also wanted to tell you about, we do have trainings all the time. If you want to go to bpmedia.com/seminars, you can see more of the trainings. Here is something that gives you all of the different things that I was telling you about today. So, and if you click on, or you use your phone and do the QR code, it'll give you my information, and you can load it right into your phone. So you don't have to do anything with it. But then the tools are resources. The class that's going to be going on, the course, will be at this address. And then if you want the things that go along with this class today, go here, and you'll be able to get those. You'll sign up for that, and it'll send you out the actual checklist of all these things that I've told you about. It'll have a checklist in it. Then it'll also have the recipe for social media success sheet that gives you the overview, as well as a link to the video that tells you how to use recipe for social media success. There'll be a couple of other things that we're going to be adding on to this for those who have signed up for that. So is there any questions out there? I don't see any. You can put them in the chat. You can put them in the Q&A, either one of those. I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. All right. Well, I don't see any questions here. I want to thank you for being here and enjoy learning how to be the master of your own social media. Thank you.